Welcome back to another episode of the Down Podcast with your beautiful hosts, Alan and Cam. Today we've got a fun one for you. We will be talking mainly about why creating authentic, human-centered films is the most important content you can create as a brand right now. Also, the brands that are creating this type of content and why you should be taking a look at them or focusing on them because it's very relevant right now, especially in the film space, but also like commercial, quote unquote, commercial space as well. And then, of course, like we always do, we'll talk about what we've been watching and go into some really cool films that we've seen lately. So without further ado, let's go!
Oh, it's a video? Great job, buddy.
So, like I said before, it's about why creating authentic, human-centered films is the most important content you can create as a brand right now and as a filmmaker if you're in the kind of branded space.
Yeah.
First, I want to talk about what's kind of the most popular thing right now, which is short form content. It has been popular for a while. TikTok, it's going through a little rough patch right now, but TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, there's like everyone's on there because they see the potential for free ad space basically and the chance to go viral as a personal brand and as well-established legacy brands as well. I think mainly what I want to touch on is how to approach that content if you are a longer format filmmaker or a longer format director or agency that where you mainly focus on like branded docs, branded content, or like even narrative films, that type of thing. How can you implement this for yourself and for your clients into short form content and make it still like that human-centered touch? So I know earlier before we started recording, Cam, you kind of brought that up a little bit about how you can approach that in the broader sense. So, I mean, as a director, and you're scrolling on Instagram, you're scrolling on TikTok, you're scrolling on YouTube, what are some of the like key things that stand out for you when you like stop scrolling on like a creative piece of content, I guess?
Yeah.
From like a brand maybe.
I think the first thing that really stands out to me is the look of it.
Mm-hmm.
I know me and you are obsessed with like, we send each other stuff on Instagram all the time of just stuff that looks fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that usually grabs my attention because most of the time when I'm scrolling Instagram or anything like that, it's on silent.
Mm-hmm.
And if something piques my interest visually, then I'll unlock the sound.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And then something like once you undo that, to maintain my attention, if the score is good, if the voice sounds good, I'm like, okay, the production quality of this is pretty solid. Let's continue watching. And that's how I find myself getting drug into that shorter form content, like the Instagram Reels, TikTok, that kind of stuff. That's what kind of grabs my attention. And then story beat wise, I think, me and you always identify with the kind of like the base of this question is like heartfelt, people driven stories that, like we can all connect with on a human level and a personal level. And I always kind of gravitate towards those. And even if it not even necessarily the quality, like the quality doesn't have to be great all the time. It's kind of that give and take that we learn early on in the career. It's like you can make something look good, but if the story isn't good, then it kind of is lacking. And if the story is good and it doesn't look good, it can still work. That kind of thing where it's that juxtaposition.
Yep.
And it can work either way. Like you can look at a piece of art and be like, this looks great. And like, that's all you're taking from it.
Yeah.
Or you can be like, this story was amazing. It might not look as good, but like what sticks with you?
Yeah.
What about you?
I think it's the stuff we send assigned each other. It's the look that gets us to stop, and then it's you unmute it, and then you start to hear the story, and that's what keeps you there, and that's what ultimately keeps you with, like, if it's a brand posting, like if it's Arc'teryx or Yeti or something or Patagonia, then it's like you're bought in. You're probably gonna watch a few of those reels.
I'll click on the page, go through it.
Right. And now maybe you hit the follow and then you follow along, or like maybe you go as far as like buying something from them after you've bought into basically their storytelling.
Yeah.
So as a whole, like, it's not just one reel. Like, it's not like the TikToks or the reels that are like ad focused, like product focused, that like maybe a brand like Arc'teryx would have, like showing off a new jacket or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, those are meant for like click-through rates, like high click-through rates, like sell this product now.
Yeah.
Whereas like the story stuff is a bigger picture thing. And it's easy to look at that from like a long format film, but like you have to look at it when you're looking at reels or short form content. It's not just one, it's like your entire grid or your entire page of like 30 to a minute long videos, and how they all they may be telling different stories about different people, but they're all focused towards your brand goal or your brand message. So I think that it's a bigger picture thing that will grab the attention of somebody and keep them there, and maybe make them like a lifetime fan or a customer.
I think it's a culture builder.
Yes.
I think the short form content helps bring in the new, new fans, new followers to your culture.
Yep.
And that longer form content is what keeps you. And that's like what is your foundation, your cornerstone. Like that is your foundation, is the long form.
Yeah.
And the short form is kind of like introductory.
Yeah.
And someone like a brand that I think does this really well is BPN.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
And he talks, Nick Bare, Bare Performance Nutrition. They pride themselves on, giving back and putting a lot of effort into building a culture.
Mm-hmm.
And they built that culture through video. They built it through YouTube videos, short documentaries. And now they're doing a lot of stuff on reels, like little short segments and, showing their community. And that's what they're all about, is community.
Yeah.
And I think you get that when you're going through their feed, you're going through their reels, you see what they're about. And in other ways, like other profiles, I can't remember the name, but there's some Instagram pages and brands that they do entire, like almost like short stories as their marketing reels. Like they have characters that are repeat characters, and like it's a series almost through their reels.
Yeah.
And I think that creates engagement, and that brings people along for the ride.
Oh, absolutely.
One pet peeve of mine that I was thinking about when we were talking about this is I like when a brand knows what they are and knows what they are doing. Like a brand that like knows what kind of video they are making.
Right.
One thing I hate, and it doesn't matter how good the video is, I never do it. When I'm scrolling on Instagram and I see a video that pops up and it says rotate your phone. I never rotate my phone. No. I'm like, if you can't show me this on the format that it's meant to be seen on this, I'm not going to watch it.
You're failing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, this belongs on YouTube.
Yeah.
If you're trying to show me a big cinematic piece, Instagram isn't the spot for it.
It's like, do the work to get me to YouTube.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part, right? And it's not going to happen overnight.
The conversion. You're building the platform to then people will follow it over and cross-pollinate between the platforms.
Yeah. That's your measure of success. I think a lot of people selling this type of work is really difficult.
Yeah.
For anybody that owns a production company or an agency or studio that's trying to sell this type of stuff to a client, because the ROI isn't sales immediately. You can bottom line is your ROI is lifetime customers, and the way you measure that is ultimately over time. But it's like, if you wanted to break it down, I think the best way to do it is like, okay, if you're building that presence and culture on Instagram, and like you said, the goal is like, we're making these longer format films. It's like, how many people can I get from Instagram? to YouTube,
Mhm.
you know, to watch these. And then I think you maybe base that off of, then you base it off of watch time on YouTube, and then engagement, like comments,
Yeah.
because you can tell a lot by the comments on YouTube, because those people on YouTube are way more loyal.
Yep.
It's like the next level from Instagram is YouTube, and then obviously to your website is like a sale. But on YouTube, people that take the time to comment and comment something valuable, you know you've got them, and that's like the best way to measure
Yeah.
success for those things. Back to BPN.
Yes.
BPN? Yeah.
BPN.
That content, I don't follow them, but the ads always pop up for me. And there may not necessarily be like story driven in terms of like audio,
Mm-hmm.
but like they'll have one whole video on this person, or like maybe one or two people running like track, and maybe there's a voiceover from that person that you can tell is kind of organic sounding. It doesn't sound like a voiceover.
Yeah.
And they're building the story of like, all right, let me attack the track athlete here for this supplement that we're selling.
Yeah.
But they're never really selling it. It's more of just like how they're feeling and what they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And then you click on their page and you're like, oh, they have, you know, protein powder, or they have hydration, like electrolytes.
Yeah.
And then you go into like weightlifting. There's like weightlifting spotlights. So there's just different spotlights that are only like 30 seconds long, but they're so engaging
Yeah.
that are just like, when they target them with like their meta ads, it's like, oh, they're hitting the runner.
Yeah.
And this is going to hit different for a runner. This is going to hit different for a weightlifter. And it's going to tell the story and the struggles of a weightlifter, the story and the struggles of a track runner.
Yep.
So I think they do that really well. And then they also include stuff from Nick himself,
Yeah.
where he's talking to camera, and it's a little more, it's still good quality, but it's like you're hearing it from him as like, I founded this because XYZ.
Yeah.
So it's like all this stuff is like you're hearing it from people who are just kind of associated with the brand, you know, but it's like real and feels docu style, and you believe everything.
Yeah.
And then you hear from the person who made it himself, like, here's why I made it.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think everything points to that community and culture, like I was saying earlier. And if like their ads are one thing, like they're trying to sell you on a product, they're trying to get that conversion, get you to click, get you to move over to another platform, either their website or their page.
Yeah.
But if you go to their main page and start scrolling, most of their posts aren't trying to sell you on a product. They're trying to sell you on the idea, and that idea is the company itself.
Yeah.
The brand. They want you to believe in the brand.
Yep.
And if you believe in the brand,
which you're the brand.
Yeah, you are the brand. They're wanting the person viewing to believe in them, which then therefore will convert into whether it be sales, like, or subscriptions or follows, because at the end of the day, those metrics matter.
Right.
Like for me, I use BPN supplements.
Yeah.
And I didn't start out because I was like, oh, these are the best supplements out there. I started using them after I started watching Nick Bare's content, like his documentaries on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And then I followed his Instagram, and I was like, oh, the Instagram, like, I really like the culture that they're promoting.
Yep.
And like their target area is the hybrid athlete.
Mm-hmm.
So it's runners, weightlifters. They're not targeting bodybuilders. They're not targeting strictly runners.
It's like
people
everyday.
that are across the board.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I started using their products because of it. And I succumbed to the algorithm, man.
Yeah.
And I just love the brand. I love the company. But
Yep.
that's what it's about, is, you know, getting that conversion, getting people to believe in the brand. And in this case, like you said, the brand is you. Like if you are trying to do this, like, what is your brand? What is your goal?
Mm-hmm.
And like, what is your community going to be like? Lay the groundwork, kind of lay out the main pillars, and focus on that. Like, are you trying to do sales? Are you trying to build, you know, a following? Like, what and how are you going to do that?
Yeah. So I think bottom line takeaway from point number 1, talking about like short form content, is patience is key because you're building a world essentially.
Mhm.
You're building a world and a community, so all your content has to point to that. So that means you may not be posting every day, and it may not look like UGC content that's like lower quality and you can just pump it out and stuff like that. I'd say patience is key. Build that world, build that community of your customer, not selling them a specific product, but selling them on the idea of your brand. And oftentimes that's usually why you created the company.
Mm-hmm.
The answer is the content you're making is usually based around why you created the company, because I'm a weekend warrior and I didn't like any of the supplements out there because they're not whole ingredients and I just never felt great using them. Boom. There's your reasoning. That's why you started the brand, and that's why you make the content is all based around that. It's all based around the weekend hybrid warrior who is running and weightlifting
Mm-hmm.
and who wants healthy ingredients and who wants to be a part of a bigger community.
Yeah.
Boom. That's all your content. So the perfect transition is number 2, which is your long form content.
Yep.
Which is primarily on YouTube.
So I think honestly BPN's a great example.
I
Overall.
haven't seen any of their long form stuff, to be honest.
Oh, it's great.
So I guess I'll kick it to you, but first, what you're saying about the short form content is getting them to YouTube for the long form content.
Yeah.
Because the long form content is where somebody can really get into the nitty gritty of the story and of the brand and of the mission
Mm-hmm.
of a specific person who is just like you.
Or a collective.
Or a collective of people. So going back to the first thing you said about where we would send content to each other, and you scroll stop because it looks good, then you unmute it and it gives you a 30-second snippet of what ends up being a 20-minute film on YouTube.
Yeah.
But the whole thing's not there. It's just the key aspect that will connect with you to get you to watch the whole film. A trailer, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of times it's, in film you have story beats.
Right.
And I feel like these reels that you see are beats of those beats.
Yep.
Like if you have a main story arc or a main, point in your story, they're taking a small section, the main beat of that main idea, and then that's what they're promoting their targeted reel
Yep.
with.
Totally.
To then get you to go over.
Yeah. So BPN, for example, what does relating it to their short form, what does their long form look like?
Their long form's great. It's a lot of Nick himself.
Okay.
So I follow his podcast and I listen to that, and he talks about this a lot, and it's in his YouTube videos. After a point where he built the business, he started in the Army, built the business up, and then in the late 2000s and then the late teens before 2020 and all that stuff, they really started to grow really fast, and he decided when they really got big, it's better he wants to build a community for the brand, and he doesn't necessarily want to be the focus. So he took a step back to promote, while he is still featured. If you go to his Instagram, like the BPN Instagram,
Yeah.
you'll see Nick every now and then, but you're not going to see him every single post.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be the focal point.
Right. Yeah.
In the ads, you'll see him obviously, because it's here, I'm the founder. This is
Sure.
what we're trying to sell. But if you're going to a short form content, it's mostly their athletes. It's the people in their community. If you go to the YouTube, that's more his speed. If you're converting to the idea of BPN and the community on socials,
Yeah.
you're going to go to the YouTube to then see his lifestyle, his, how he lives, how he came to found his business.
Yeah.
And you kind of follow him on a day to day. He'll post, right now, I think he's training for a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
So it's he's posting marathon prep.
Yeah.
He posts his long form documentaries about his ultra marathons, his bodybuilding competitions. And as a founder, while you're if you're looking at his socials, if you're looking at BPN as a whole, they're building that community, whatever they're building in the brand. And then you're going over to their long form content, and then they're getting you to believe in their founder.
Yeah.
So it adds legitimacy to their brand. And while some of it isn't on BPN's direct socials, if you're going to BPN's YouTube, you're also probably going to go to Nick Bear's YouTube.
Yeah.
Which is like twofold.
Yeah.
So, but their content on that, it's not promoting a product. None of it's product promotion.
Yeah,
it's
correct.
all idea and culture building.
Yeah.
And they might say like, oh, I take, a scoop of greens, or like halfway through the run, I took, a scoop of electrolytes.
Yeah.
It's not like, hey, buy this.
No.
I really think like that's, and like you were saying on YouTube, that's like where a lot of the loyal fans are going to be at.
Yeah. It's the next
and
step.
you see that. And that's what the content is geared towards.
Yeah.
It's not geared towards selling. It's geared toward building on that.
Story building, brand building, culture building.
Yeah.
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 That is really cool. I think something that's a pro to BPN is you have Nick Bear as the founder. And so you have like the audience can see like, oh, here's the founder. They're not that big of a company, even though they're pretty big, but like they're not that big because I have access to watching a video about the founder, you know? And so that works really well for them. And if you contrast that to like a Arc'teryx or a Patagonia or a North Face, it's like these companies are massive. And so it's almost harder for them.
Yeah.
Because there isn't a founder, like, so they have to use these stories of people like you and me to relate to their audience.
Yeah.
So like they have to use the story of this mountain climber who, really grounds the brand. And it's like, hey, we're not that big. Like we're actually just this guy. You know, and we're just trying to help this guy. And this guy is Arc'teryx. This guy is North Face, who's just trying to climb this mountain and has this other crazy thing going on in his life, just like you probably do. So I think that's kind of a cool little contrast there. But one thing I want to point out is this isn't the only, like, I don't want you to hear that, like, you are only making this style of, short content or long content and you're not running ads. Like, you're also running ads for your products. It's just completely different. It's completely separate. Like you're running meta ads on the actual products themselves and pushing that so that when they watch all this stuff and they're deep in your rabbit hole of like story content, and community content, then they get served a little ad for electrolyte or a jacket or something, and then they buy.
Or
because
it's like
they're
a UGC content. Like that's when you can run those kind of ads. Like
Correct.
if you go to like, if we're staying on BPN or if we're going through like a North Face.
BPN. Yeah.
If we're staying on BPN, like you look through their Instagram, I don't think there's like really any UGC content on their main page.
Right.
Most of that's going to run as an ad, or most of it's going to be their athletes. And that's why they sponsor athletes. Correct. And like if you're looking at a North Face or something, you'll get, Alex Honnold, who did Free Solo.
Yeah.
You'll get him to say something about, this jacket, like, oh, I like to use this North Face jacket when I'm climbing here. You're not posting that on your main page.
Correct.
You're having him say it on his page.
Yep.
And then you're getting you're getting cross-pollination between Alex Honnold's page and North Face's main page.
Yeah.
Vice versa.
Yep.
So they're creating like a style. They're creating a look for their main grid, like you were saying earlier. But it's different content.
You have to separate it though.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to do both and you have to separate them because one serves the other and they both serve each other.
Yeah.
But they have to be separate. But back to the culture building, world building type of content.
Yeah.
The long form stuff is, I think BPN is a great look if you're a small or medium sized business because you have the founder, you have access to the founder. Founder can be implemented in content because they're doing things of the brand already. Like Nick Bear's training and he's doing all these things that he's selling the product for. So it's like, cool, easy, make content with him. Then you have the like more other docu-style content about other ambassadors or other athletes. Cool, easy. But the long form content is Nick Bear, and then you can, maybe once a month you do a short doc on one of your sponsored athletes that's doing something crazy, and implementing that. And then on the grander side of things, if you're like a mega company like an Arc'teryx or a North Face or a Patagonia or Yeti, then it's like, I feel like you're probably, you're doing the same thing, but you're obviously not focusing on any founder. There's no founder or owner or anything. It's all athlete based, or all like stories you find that fit your exact brand narrative, that build a culture. And then you're just cutting those down into social stuff as well.
Yeah,
So,
and I think you can see those transitions through those platforms. And like on YouTube, like, you know, if you're looking at a Yeti film, like me and you love Yeti films, and that's how like you first, you know, kind of fell in love with, you know, docu filmmaking, was like you would watch Yeti films.
Yeah.
And they're not overtly trying to sell you on a product. They're just trying to sell you on the lifestyle and like the kind of people that use their products. Everyday people to extraordinary athletes, it doesn't matter. And if you're a business and you're wanting to transition, like if you want to change the narrative of what your business is, use a combination of, you know, short form and long form content.
Yeah. Point number 3. Perfectly. Yeah. So point number 3 is making them both work, short form and long form together. So basically how we approach most docu projects is comboing those together, because you're building that overall world for this one project. So let's say our last film, Wilbur's Barbecue, we created a 3-minute doc for them. And then from that, we created a shorter cut, like a 90-second cut they could run on ads. And then we also did a 4 or 5 social shorts that focus on different areas of the business. So the smoke pit, we did a few on those. One in the kitchen behind the scenes, seeing how everything's made and prepped, and you get to see the actual people that work there to like connect with them. Familiar faces type thing. Then you have one in like the dining room to see customers enjoying the food. And then also we had a album of photos that went along with that. So then the rollout would be, you know, you would ideally run, and then we had like 1 or 2 cut downs of the film itself into reels, like vertical. So ideally the way it would work is you would roll out, you know, 2, like maybe like the social short cut down of the film, and then like 1 or 2 of like the lifestyle reels. And you'd basically be promoting like, here's like a snippet of the main story. And then you would release the main film on YouTube and drive people there. And then you would add the photos as the film came out. You'd start posting the photos and the other lifestyle reels and build the brand up that way. Another one, we have a doc coming up that is an outdoor climbing doc. We have a few sponsors, and basically we're going to do a similar thing. We're going to create the long form film, which might be anywhere from 15 to 25 minutes. And then we'll have a short, like 90-second version. And then we'll have like an album or a collection of reels to support it. And we'll also do like more UGC style stuff with the main character.
Brand.
Yeah, for each brand, so they can have something, because you can't really just sell a long form film anymore. You have to have these smaller assets that the brand can use to promote the film, but also sell their product essentially. So
It's like, what's a brand supposed to do with a 30-minute film?
Right, nothing. So you create this all-in-one package, you know, long film, cut downs, photos, and then even distribution, whether that's film festivals or grassroots, like local private screenings with like panels with the main subject, the main character, you know, talking about the film, talking about their life, that type of thing. And basically you build out this package that combines everything together. And you're like, here, this fits perfectly with your culture you're trying to build, your brand you're trying to build. It's all here right in one package, essentially. So that's kind of how you tie it all together. But I think bottom line of all this is you want to be story building. You want to find if you don't already have your kind of community built or your culture built, or what your brand mission statement, I think, is probably the main thing. If you don't already have that, build that, and then build the longer form content and shorter form content around that. Make sure it's all pointing towards that. And then, of course, in addition, you have your typical ad content that you run for your products.
Totally. I think another, I was just looking on Instagram, and I think Arc'teryx is a really cool example of a brand who uses social media and reels and YouTube, everything to their benefit. And they not only convert fans of like the culture, but also sales.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, if you go to Arc'teryx's main page, it's all these really cool photos, videos of outdoor accomplishments, achievements, really sick things, like beautiful frames of really cool feats in the outdoor space, whether it be skiing, rock climbing, mountaineering, whatever it is. If you want to juxtapose that, look up Arc'teryx New York. Arc'teryx New York, they're pushing streetwear.
Yeah.
They're, you know, their puffer jackets. This is how you can style it with this. Like,
if you're not into outdoors.
Yeah, you're not into outdoors, but you want to like have this brand. They're trying to push it on multiple spectrums.
Yeah.
And like they have multiple different city ones, and each one is pushing towards different spaces. And like if you go to Arc'teryx's YouTube, it's all Arc'teryx films. It's all beautifully crafted, like short documentaries about, you know, really cool people that they sponsor
in the outdoors. Yeah.
Yeah, in the outdoors. I just think that's cool, and like that's the way you can use it. Know your audience. Like, you know.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, know your audience. Know what they want and build it. Sounds easier. It's easier said than done, but I think that's a simple. What we've kind of said today is just a simple framework of how anybody in any brand or any business can attack content, because it seems so daunting and scary. Like there's so much you can do, and there's a lot of advice online.
There's no hack. Also,
yeah, there's no hack. It does take time to build this, but you're not getting into business, you know, to do it for a couple of years. You're doing it for basically your whole lifetime and probably beyond. So why not take the time to build out content that supports that? That will in turn build an audience that will be there for the length of the brand.
Yeah. And like you said, it takes time.
Yeah.
And I think something that's important to remember, like, especially in like what we do, like, you know how easy it is to go and pay for followers. You can go tomorrow and get 20,000 followers if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But you're not building a culture. Like you're seeing a number grow, but like you're not seeing
for what? Yeah.
You're not seeing activation. You're not seeing engagement. Anything. Yeah. I think if you create authentic marketing plans, if you create authentic films about real people, you will slowly, like with time, you will build authentic fans.
Yep. That
will follow you throughout wherever you're going, whatever page you're on, whether it be YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, their website, like they will go to all those because they believe in what you are selling and building over time. Rome wasn't built in a day, folks.
No, absolutely. And of course, if you're interested in short form and long form content package and short docs and branded docs, give us a call, give us a follow. Check our website out at dialedfilm.com. We have some of our branded docs up to kind of get a feel for what that even looks like. And yeah, that's pretty much all I had. Oh, gosh. The most important segment. What have you been watching?
Yeah, bro. I thought you were.
My
I don't
gosh.
know what you were doing.
That would have been rough.
Bro, you off pop Percocet. freaking going crazy over there. Yeah, this segment. What we've been watching. Recently, we'll start off with shows. I've been watching Glee.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
My wife got me into it. She started watching it. She's like, "Watch it. Let's watch this together." And I was like, "Okay." And she's seen it a million times.
Sure.
It's pretty funny. It's like a pretty funny show. And like I'm actually enjoying it. Or we just started the third season. And I'm like, this is actually like kind of fun.
I remember being in like middle school, and my brother and sister would have their friends over to watch it on like whatever Monday night, and I'd always want to watch it because they were watching it, and I would like look around, like I'd sneak out of my bedroom and like I could see the TV from my hallway,
Oh
and
yeah.
I'd sit there for like 15 minutes and watch it. I was like, what is this stupid show? And then I go to bed.
No, it definitely when I was a kid I thought it was dumb, and you know, it's funny because they were trying to like be progressive and inclusive and like the people that they had on the show and topics
Right.
they were covering. But they were so funny. Like some of the stuff they were saying was so out of pocket and so politically incorrect. I was like, this is awesome. Like there's a couple characters that have like you could not do this today because people would be like outraged.
Dang.
But honestly, that time of TV was great. Like
Yeah.
before that, like a few years before that, I always remember I used to love Extreme Makeover Home Edition.
Yes, Ty
And then like
Pennington.
right after that, I never watched it as a kid. I still haven't watched it, but my wife watched it. It was Desperate Housewives, and I always remember
Oh yeah.
when Extreme Makeover would finish, the Desperate Housewives thing would come on.
You
I was like,
shut it off.
and then the next stage was Glee, and I was like, what is this?
Yeah,
What is
that's
this
funny.
stuff? But yeah, so I've been watching that. Couple films I've watched recently. Sing Sing.
Yep.
Loved Sing Sing. And then I watched The Last Showgirl.
Wow.
What about you?
I also saw Sing Sing, and it was fantastic. I gave it a 4 out of 5 or 4.5, maybe.
High praise. So did I. It was great.
It was so good. I'm assuming shot on film, kind of docu style, and it's about a prison, Sing Sing Island, and they specifically about a prison that they put on like theater shows. There's like a little
Like a morale thing.
yeah, there's like a group of guys in the prison that put on theater shows and they write scripts and stuff, and so it's about that. It is, I mean, unexpectedly great.
Yeah.
Because it popped up, I didn't really know what it was,
Yeah.
until you told me.
Yeah. It's I had heard about it last year, and I didn't ever watch it. And the other week I got the Regal Pass, and I was like, oh, what am I wanting to watch? I was like, oh, Sing Sing. It's only one showing. I'll go check it out. Because it looked good, and it seemed like a movie. Like whenever A24 makes kind of like a drama style film, I have always loved it. I'm pretty
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
And so when I saw A24 did it, I was like, okay, it obviously is in some regard going to be good. So I went and watched it, and it blew out of my expectations. Like I thought it was gonna be good, but I really loved the story. I thought Coleman Domingo was
Fantastic.
a fantastic lead.
Fantastic.
And also, I'm not gonna say anything else about like the other characters in the film, but the other characters did fantastic as well. Like great performances.
Yeah. Yeah, it was such a good movie. Other movie I saw yesterday,
Oh,
September 5.
how was that?
It was pretty good. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5.
Okay.
Solid docu style. It was 90% like all in one location.
What's it about?
It is about the 1972 Olympics in Berlin. So this was right after, not right after, but kind of, Nazi Germany. They were still kind of, they were getting over that with the Jews and everything. And so the Olympics coming to Berlin was a big deal. And basically what happened was the Team Israel, I don't know if it was, I think it was all of Team Israel, got held hostage by Palestinian terrorists.
Oh.
And so it's about ABC News covering that. And they were it was the first live covering of a terrorist attack, basically, or event.
Wow.
So it's about that. It's from the POV of ABC News team, like the control center, basically, of like finding out the story and like developing it, and then obviously what happens to them. But
That's cool.
it was pretty intense, kind of docu style. I loved the look of it. Was great. Really, a lot of tight shots. In the middle, it got a little boring for me, I think, or else it probably would have been closer to a 4. But it was very real,
Yeah.
like as things unfolded, So, based on true events, obviously, and yeah, it was good, really cool.
That's sweet. Is that nominated for anything?
I doubt it. I don't think so.
Okay.
Not that I know.
I think I've heard about it. I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, it just kind of came out. I've been wanting to see it for a long time, but it just came to theaters near me this past week. So
I'm still trying to go see The Brutalist.
yeah,
I'm just trying to set aside 4 hours.
I'm like more and more. I'm like, everyone says the first half is great and the second half kind of falls short. And I'm like,
That's 2 hours in. You're
that's
going to
what
the
I'm
second
saying.
half,
I'm like,
dude.
do I really want to go?
You don't get that time back.
But it's got 4.1 out of 5 average on Letterboxd.
But how much of that is movie snobs?
I don't know.
That are like, this is the best thing ever.
Yeah, I don't know. So I saw that, and then Meg's been watching This Is Us show.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been kind of tuning in, and it's pretty good.
Nice.
It's not bad. Kind of cool the way they tell it. I don't know if you know anything about it, but it's kind of told in like 3 different timelines intertwined. It's about this family.
Yeah.
And so it kind of goes back to their childhood, and then it'll go back to modern day, and then it'll go in the future a little bit, and it kind of just like intertwines every episode.
Yeah.
So it's pretty fun.
I think you need to go watch that Last Showgirl movie just to watch it.
We'll see. I got a lot of movies ahead of it.
Yeah. And after what I told you before we started recording, I don't know if you'll go watch it.
Yeah. Movies I want to see that are coming out are Warfare
Dude, yes, A24.
and some previews I saw. Oh, did I send you Magazine Dreams?
No. Wait, is that the one with
Yeah.
whatever the guy
What's his name?
Jonathan Majors?
Major, yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited for that. I'm also surprised they're releasing it.
Yeah. Pretty
But-
crazy. It was delayed release. It was made in 2023, and then there were allegations of
Assault, I think.
assault by Majors. And so it's just getting released in March. But it's basically an aspiring bodybuilder, Killian Maddox, struggles to find human connection in his exploration of celebrity and violence, basically. But it looks amazing.
Yeah, I'm
The-
excited for that.
Other preview I saw was Bring Them Down
I've never seen it.
with Barry Keoghan.
Oh,
That is when the ongoing rivalry between farmers, Michael and Jack, suddenly escalates. It triggers a chain of events that take increasingly violent and devastating turns, leaving both families permanently altered. So it's got a 3.4 so far on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
Looks pretty good. Look pretty fun. And yeah,
there's a few movies I'm wanting to watch. I'm wanting to watch some more of the Oscar nominated films. I wanted to watch more of the Oscar nominated films like I'm Still Here. I've heard good things about that. I kind of want to watch Amelia Perez just to see what all
I don't know
the
if
hype
I could
is
do
about.
it.
You know what I'm
If I could
saying?
do it, yeah.
13 Oscar nominations. It must be the best film ever, right?
I doubt it.
From what I've seen on Instagram, it doesn't look all that great. One of the movies that's coming out that I really want to see, I'm looking forward to seeing, is Mickey 17.
Oh,
I'm
can't wait for
really
that.
looking forward to that one. I think, Robert Pattinson is really coming into his own slowly but surely. He's coming out of the slump of being the Twilight boy.
yeah.
I think that.
I mean, he's had a
Really-
few good movies.
Yeah,
So.
but it's still people still refer to him as like the Twilight guy.
Sure.
I'm
yeah.
like, he'll always kind of carry that with him, but I think he's been picking really good films to be in, and consistently every film that I've seen him in since Twilight, I've enjoyed him in.
Yeah.
I haven't seen like The Lighthouse or anything like that.
Yeah,
But
me either.
another film I want to watch is The Presence. I don't know if I'm gonna watch it.
Oh.
It's like the atmospheric kind of. It's not really like a horror movie,
yeah.
but it's filmed from a ghost's POV.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw a reel maybe.
Yep.
About how it was shot on like a little A7S III and a gimbal. Did you see that?
No.
It literally shot on like an A7S III and a gimbal, the whole thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it looks sweet. I've heard a lot of good things about it. I want to see it, but also every time I watch like a horror movie that involves, and this one isn't necessarily horror, it's more of a thriller, more of a slow paced thriller.
A9. Sony A9 III and a gimbal. And like
Really?
a Ronin. Yeah.
Dang. That's crazy. But those are powerhouses. Like any of the Sony cameras you can make look really
Yeah,
good.
but still, it's like a movie in theaters.
Yeah.
It's just doing that.
Yeah. It just looks interesting.
It looks good.
It's just I always hate the feeling of something looking at me. And after I watch this film, I have a feeling I'm just going to be constantly looking in corners and be like, there's something there. And I don't like that.
Yep, the film is shot like a POV entirely on a 14mm Sony photo lens with a gimbal.
Yeah, that's...
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not... The reviews of it are... Well, Letterboxd, it's at 3.1, so...
Yeah. I mean, POV movies always kind of... They're going to be hit or miss.
Yeah, it's... I mean, stylistic films as well. It's like
Yeah.
they're going to be not for everybody.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's all for me. I mean,
Same.
there's a few other movies I want to see that, I mean, have already been out, but
Yeah.
I haven't had the chance to see yet. A lot of them are the Oscar nominated stuff, but you know,
Yep.
we're in Oscar season, baby. We should
We
do Oscar
are.
fantasy.
Just
They have it online.
betting.
Yeah, bro. Play some bets.
Good.
I don't want to do that. Big Hollywood, man.
You can't bet against big Hollywood.
No.
What a crazy time. Well, it's been good.
It's been great.
It's been fantastic. That's all we have for you today. Go watch those movies if you haven't. Sing Sing, fantastic. Go check it out. I think you can rent it soon, or you
Hopefully.
can buy it,
You have to rent it.
or check out a theater near you. If you like this conversation, give us a like, subscribe, leave us a comment, and
Follow us on Instagram.
follow us on Instagram. We got some cool films coming out
Dialed
in the
Film.
next couple months.
We got a bunch of stuff happening.
So stay tuned for all that, and we will catch you in the next pod.
Catch you next time, folks.
Peace.
Peace out.